Hello, beautiful people. This is Dr. Dane. Welcome to one of my favorite places in the world, Costa Rica. If you can't tell behind me, there's the towel hanging. And it's actually the resort that we have started construction on that we call El Lugar. And we call it El Lugar because that means the place in Spanish, and it's based on a book my best friend Gary Douglas wrote called The Place. I know, so clever, huh? And reading this book, I mean, I cry every time I read it. It expresses an energy of being and an energy of communion with Earth that is so incredibly beautiful. And the way Gary puts words together is unlike anything I've ever read before. Kind of like a modern day Shakespeare, only not as erudite. In other words, it's plain English strung together in some way that you just go, wow. And this place reminds me of it. In fact, that's why we called it that, because it has that energy. So I'm just panning around a little bit and wearing my hat, because when I'm in Costa Rica, pretty much a hat is all you get. There's some of the clouds in the sky. That's where clouds live. If you didn't know that, this is a good educational video for you. So what is the tool for today? Space, peace, and ease. What do I mean? Well, if you can't tell, here we are, and this place has an immense sense of space, an immense sense of peace. And there's this ease, which is the part that I want to maybe bring more of your attention to. And because with everything going on in the world, you can feel people getting more frantic and more frantic and more frantic. And yet, if you know in your own life, whenever you've gone to frantic, do you create more or less? Ooh, there's a bird. There it goes. Do you enjoy more or less? And actually, you know, interesting that the bird flies by, because the space, when you allow yourself to have ease, and when you allow yourself to relax into space and into peace, you become way more aware of everything, like that other bird flying by. And everything just sort of is able to get in, because you're not frantically running around in your mind trying to figure everything out. Now, I don't know about you, but I spent my entire life trying to figure everything out pretty much all the time. And I used to, even for many years in Access, I had such a high stress level without even realizing it. You know, I would be packing, and that's one of the things that always stressed me out, because when I was a little kid, I went from house to house, you know, and I'd spend weekends, every other weekend with my father, and then I would go back, and it was always this massive stress that I carried over into traveling 3.5 weeks out of the month, packing 8 times a month, most months, and stressing about it all the time without even realizing it, until some of my friends pointed out and like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I'm being like I was when I was 6 and 5 and 4 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. And I just learned that that was the way to be. So where have you learned that the way to be is frantic, and that you have to be frantic in order to make sure that you're aware of everything that could go wrong? Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it, please. Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So once again, where and when did you learn that you had to be frantic? And you had to be frantic so you would be aware of everything that could go wrong, as though being aware that it could go wrong would make it so it wouldn't go wrong. Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it, please. Another bird. Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Here's the weird thing, and I didn't realize we were going to get here, but the weird part that nobody realizes is when you continuously look for what can go wrong, you create it going wrong. Because as I've said for year upon year, your point of view creates your reality. Reality does not create your point of view. So when you're looking for what is going to go wrong, even from the place of, I want to know it so I don't have it go wrong, you then create it going wrong, so you prove that you were right, number one, but also prove that you can actually solve it when it does go wrong. Everything that is, does that describe some of your lives? Looking forward, always looking for the problem, and then getting the problem, and then solving the problem, and then you're like, see, I knew there was going to be a problem. I'm so glad I was so frantic and so not spacious and so not relaxed and so not peace and so not ease, because it went wrong. Therefore, I should be more frantic and less space and less peace and less relaxation next time, because I want to be able to handle it first. Everything that is times a godzillion. We destroy and create it, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So, I'm just going to show you some of these guys. I mean, and while we're doing this, just like drink in the piece. Now, I don't know if you can actually see the little bugs on there. I think they're ants. And then the flying insects, the little, like tiny little bees. And then the flies. I mean, we got an entire ecosystem on this one plant. Isn't it beautiful? While I'm showing you this, just drink in the space. Drink in the peace. Drink in the ease. Oh my goodness, I don't know. Can you see all of those birds up there? Holy cow. There's lots of birds up there. Hey, I learned, oh, by the way, over there's one of the construction sites for one of the casitas that's going to be built. We're plotting them all out in wood first so we can see the level, make sure that it works in the space. We've changed a lot of these around because they didn't actually work with the land. And what we're doing while we're building here is we're actually building from this sense of peace and space and ease. What do I mean? Well, we gave orders, no tree is to be cut down. We can take smaller trees and move them, but no tree is to be cut down. And so all of the large trees that are maintaining that space and peace on this land are going to be here. And also, we're using pylons rather than digging into the topsoil. We had a contractor or an architect say, well, we got to remove the first 3 feet of topsoil everywhere. And we went, you're out of here. And so we found somebody who were digging pylons. And what that does is that allows the natural rain flow and doesn't disturb that. But it also, it's like nature knew what it was doing when it put this place together. You know, have you ever seen anybody do something greater than nature? Well, and also, you ever notice that nature never has a problem that it can't solve, and it doesn't look for problems? It's always sort of a sense of peace and space and ease. That's why we love going out in nature. Like, once again, just drink it in. And I do realize I'm going to all kinds of places here because these things are showing up as I'm talking to you. But that's what we wanted to have this entire resort be. Now, this area that I'm showing you is beautiful, isn't it? Well, this is the ugly side. The other side, there's a river that runs through the two pieces of property and, or cuts the property in parts. And so we have, I don't know, 1,000 acres over there that is going to remain unmolested and is going to remain as, walking trails, bird watching trails, horseback riding. Is some of the best horseback riding I've ever done. And I've ridden for like 20 years and it is amazing. And if you like space, nothing like it. So I'm bringing this up because a lot of times in our lives, we think we won't get anything done unless we're frantic. We won't get anything done from peace and ease and relaxation. That's actually when you get more done. That's when things can be presented to you that show you different ways of doing things that are way different. They're like miraculous. That's when miracles show up. And so what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can you be to be the energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities of total ease, total space, total relaxation, and total joy in the creation of your entire life and living? Everything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion, destroy and uncreate it, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And I say that thing again, if you look for a problem, you're going to find it. Instead, I know it sounds like, well, so if I don't look for them, they won't show up. Well, yeah, basically. But I know that takes a while. I know that is some training, but I'm just trying to put a little bee in your bonnet here, a little wedgie in that might make you realize, ooh, there's one. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? Oh, well, it was not, a bird. That was a bird, by the way. Just as a way of inviting a different sense. And part of the reason I'm going all over the map is because these different things are showing up. But part of the other reason is so you can sort of drink in the beauty of the space here. Because sometimes, let's face it, it takes a while to drink in the beauty and the space that is all around us. So what would it be like if you could relax into creating whatever you desired, ask for it, and then ask, okay, what do I need to change to get there? And what points of view can I change that will allow it to be ease, joy, glory, space, and relaxation? Okay, my beautiful friends, I think this is very appropriate, especially given holidays coming up. I adore you very much. Thank you for being part of the Torah consciousness. And what if you truly being you, being the gift of space, ease, joy, glory, and relaxation are the change, the gift, and the possibility this world requires. See you soon.